real talk now, okay? The ladies, can you excuse us for a second? Come here, man. No one is ever gonna take away your porn. No one's ever gonna take away our male power fantasies. Big badass muscle dudes and badass power armor killing countless people and having sex with scantily clad women. No one is ever gonna take away those games with the ridiculously sexy and non-functional female armor designs that we Google at and look at their ass. Many men love this. And guess what? Many women like these too. And as long as they sell, they will always exist. So calm the fuck down.
Dead or Alive Extreme 3 is available for pre-order at playasia.com, playasia.com, and playasia.com. Thanks to gaming messiahs like Angry Joe, consumers have a wide range of retailers to choose from. New features offered in Dead or Alive Extreme 3 include gambling, pole dancing, and thong bikinis. Pre-order a copy now for the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation Vita. Either way, click that link, you fucking degenerate! Buy Dead or Alive Extreme 3 or whatever else you fancy. Link in the description.
So it's, we're not far off from when I'm done for the day. It's pretty early in the morning still. But I wanted to do a commentary before I head out. And it's on the topic of, and I'll touch on this and I'll get off of it very quickly, but I eventually am going to do a video, and I'm not going to promise when, but eventually I'm going to do a video on BioWare as a company, and the fact that, and I believe this absolutely, that by the end of 2017, from now until the end of 2017, I believe that at some point the Edmonton office, not the Austin office, but the Edmonton office of BioWare is going to see major restructuring, or it's going to be dissolved outright by EA. I am certain of that at this point. The Austin office has the Old Republic to fall back on, and despite what some of you may say, the Old Republic is still profitable for EA, so they don't give a fuck. It's still going, that train is still running, and they're making money, so that office ain't going anywhere. The name of it may go away, like they did with Maxis and The Sims, but the office itself isn't going anywhere, and that game isn't going anywhere. But the Edmonton office isn't making money anymore. The Edmonton office is dead. That's why you're seeing these people jump ship to the degree that you are. And like I said, I'll touch on this and get off, because that's gonna be its own video. When you see people leave a company, and they leave the company where a couple months prior, they were saying that there's going to be at least 2 sequels to Dragon Age. Obviously Mass Effect Andromeda is still on the way, allegedly. Who fucking knows at this point? And that they were working on a new IP. So it's been all but confirmed that that new IP is not happening. That and/or the sequels to Dragon Age are not happening. The fact that David Gator jumped ship and immediately got a job. That says to me that that's been long in the works, that he's been looking to leave the company and join another. Because no one just jumps ship from a company and then immediately picks up a job. And he's not the only guy to do that. That's happened to multiple people that's worked at that company. And I'll get into that when I do the video. But what this is playing into is the fact that those of us that said when Mass Effect 3 released that something was significantly wrong with the company, and that if they did not immediately turn around, that it was going to be over with in a few years, we were absolutely right. And everyone that derided us and detracted against us and tried to rebuke us and demean us and demonize us, which I can credit to the press, they were absolutely wrong. And I'm telling you, by the end of 17, those of us that said this company is doomed will be proven right. They're going to either restructure or outright dissolve this fucking company. Because you can only have so much talent drain, and I put talent in massive quotations. You can only have so many people leave a fucking company before it just is over with. Before the parents have to step in and say, listen, we just don't have the fucking talent to keep this shit going. You've lost all the major writers, you've lost all the major directors, you've lost all the major producers, you've lost all the major components of all these different teams that were together for fucking years. You've lost all of them. So that's it. You have no direction anymore. There is no one at the fucking rudder directing this ship. So it's over with. And I'm telling you, it'll happen. You'll see that happen in the next year or two. But let me move on from that, because I bring that up because it relates to this, and it has to do with Anita Sarkeesian, which, as many of you realize by bringing her up, I would hope that I've never broached this topic before outside of being in a stream with Sargon. I've never talked about her, but I'm going to talk about her here. And I'm not going to, do an analysis of her recent video or fucking whatever. Leave that to Thunderfoot and the Amazing Atheist. They know what they're doing. Leave it to them, because they've been hitting her again and again for fucking years now. And based on the Amazing Atheist's last video and the fundraiser he's doing, the last few videos, I know for a fact that Thunderfoot just uploaded a video today. I watched that video. Another savage, just beating for her to take in terms of her cynicism, her role as a con artist, her role, not even as a propagandist, just a cynic. Someone that is self-promoting and just trying to make a name and keep the ball rolling. She seems to be, and I'm not certain of this just yet, but she seems to be moving on from gaming. And some people see this as a moment of respite. They see this as a moment of, like, it's finally over, whatever. But I disagree. I've noticed for the last few years that her channel has not really gone anywhere. She's remained at 200,000 subscribers, right around that mark, and she's never really grown or, lost that many subscribers. She's just been kind of around that number and never really gone anywhere from there. And in my opinion, her perception of gaming, her critique of gaming, her just general notion of gamers being shit, gamers being harassers, and this notion of derivative Marxist criticism of gaming, that perception has outgrown her as a person. Because if you look at any of the major publications as it relates to gaming, whether it's IGN, Kotaku, Polygon, GameSpot, I mean, name one exception to this rule, okay? I can't name every fucking publication because I read almost none of them at this point. But name one that is the exception if you want to try to argue with me on this. But in my opinion, every major publication as it relates to gaming, PC Gamer, Game Informer, there's two more, they operate in part based on her perception of gaming. As it relates to critiquing games as misogynist or sexist or too white or too whatever, Japanese games, obviously too white, that's something we've seen time and time again. Her ridiculous perceptions of gaming and her critique of gamers being harassers and misogynists, you see this critique everywhere. Everywhere. You see journalists, these journos, all using her talking points, all using her jargon, all perceiving gaming in the way that she not singularly introduced, but she ultimately introduced. The credit does really go to her for bringing this into gaming, and it has outgrown her. It's become the standard in critiquing games, and critiquing gaming, critiquing the industry, perceiving gaming. It is everywhere. It is every fucking journalist at this point as it relates to gaming. They all believe as she does. And now there are, exceptions or moderate exceptions. And this applies to commentators too. We'll get to that in a second. But there are exceptions. Eric Kane, or whatever his fucking name is, from Forbes, he is a mild exception. He's not great on everything, but he is a mild exception. And then you have people, obviously that work for, Tech Raptor and Each Gamer, blah, 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 blah. You get what I'm talking about here. You understand the difference. But if you're talking about the major players, it's all of them. It's everyone. Even the old school dickheads that stumped for BioWare, that stumped for Gamer Entitlement, which, Eric Kane wrote about in Forbes long ago. I'll post his article if you aren't familiar with it. He wrote about this forever ago. This has been an issue for years, and the original fucking perpetrators, the original ideologues, Colin Marotti being one of the biggest. He was one of the absolute fucking worst. And his role in demonizing gamers, demonizing the community, marginalizing those of us that we're fans of BioWare. We're the most are diehard fans of this company, and we're just dying to see it turn around. He is one of the figures solely responsible for that company being doomed, because of it not just being willing to admit to its own mistakes and being so fucking arrogant that it wouldn't look at itself and understand what it had done and what it was becoming and how bad their games were at that point in time. They didn't learn. And Colin Marotti was the guy that stood in front of every fucking person. Gamers are entitled. This is a fucking vocal minority. This is not a serious subsection of the fans. This is not legitimate criticism. This is defaming and reducing the artistic integrity, which was Maziak or whatever the fucking cunt's name from BioWare. That was his talking point, but that Colin made into a real talking point. He was the guy that made all of it possible for this company to avoid the fact that it was fucking up entirely and fucking the fans, and he played the role in it. And what is he doing now? He's run away from IGN. He's doing some stupid no-name show with Greg Miller, and he's never going to live that down. He's never going to live down the fact, unless some of you fucking have goldfish brains and forget this shit, which I will never forget this. I will never forgive this guy for this, because his perception of gaming has outgrown him. It has become the norm. It has become the standard at every fucking outlet that gamers are entitled. Every time there's any criticism of a game, it's a vocal minority. His talking points have become the norm. His perception of gaming have become the norm. And his impact on gaming was so detrimental that it may never be repaired. We may never shake the notion of gamer entitlement. We may never get past that point. And it's because of him. It's credited to him, rightly, because of the role that he played. And in the same way of misogyny, sexism, critiquing every way possible of whiteness, straightness, gayness, whatever, all the identity politics, that can be credited to Anita. And it's something that, like I said, it has outgrown her as a personality. It's outgrown her. And you see this everywhere. You see this with, in a case of Colin would be Colin running away from his past. But you see this with someone like Jim Sterling, who over time, his relevance is slowly slipping away from him. And that's fine by me, because he's a piece of shit. And he's done nothing but double down, triple down, quadruple down on every fucking bad thing he's ever said. Other than what he used to say, like, retard or faggot or tranny or whatever he used to say as a commentator. He's pretended as though he's never said that or apologized for it. But everything that he's ever said against gamers, everything that he's ever, every bad point he's ever made, everything that's ever blown up in his face, such as the Dead or Alive Extreme situation, he's always doubled down on. He's always tripled down on it. He's always quadrupled down on his support for Anita Sarkeesian, and he will never get over that. He will never let that go. He'll either double down, triple down, quadruple down, or he'll run away from it. He'll eventually just run away from the fact that he ever was this adamant of a supporter of not just Anita, but her perception of gaming. And this is a problem that is going to continue in gaming. There's going to be another iteration of this. You're going to see another gamer entitlement. You're going to see another artistic integrity. You're going to see another, sexism in gaming. There's going to be another issue like that that's going to come to the fore in gaming, that's going to become the standard perception of how to perceive gaming, how to perceive the industry, how to perceive games, how to perceive gamers. You're going to see another one of this because of the fact that the gaming press are in search of something to follow. They are in search of some narrative to spin that's easy and simplistic and easy to just demonize a group of which we are always the whipping boy. We're always going to be the ones beaten down because, in my opinion, one of the faults here is us. Gamers don't have the balls to ever stand up for themselves. We have no consumer groups. We have no groups that try to say to the industry, you need to step in. You need to actually do something to push back on the fucking press when they are slandering you. They're slandering your games. They're slandering your consumers. They're saying all this ridiculous shit about you as a company. They're telling you that your board of directors are compiled of sexists and homophobes and bigots and shitty people who are putting out bigoted products for bigots. These fucking companies never stand up for themselves. They never stand up for their workers. They never stand up for their fucking consumers, for the people that buy their shit. They never stand up for fucking anything. They just take their lumps. And this is one of the problems that I have with the ESA, which does nothing but pander to these fucking degenerates. Whether it's the journos, whether it's the ideologues, the ESA does nothing but fucking pander to them. You know, I cannot even begin to tell you how much I fucking hate the ESA and all their bullshit. All they do is put out shit to pander to these people. They are one of the biggest enablers in gaming to all this shit, when they should be the absolute opposite. They should be defending this industry. They should be defending consumers. But, you know, we really don't have a consumer group in gaming. This has been just on my mind for the longest fucking time. And I think that we can put Anita past us. We can just let that go. Because if she's gone, she's gone. And, you know, that's whatever. But this perception that she's created that has now become the norm in gaming, it isn't going away. This is going to remain a thing. Because, again, Colin walked away from IGN. It didn't change any minds at IGN once he walked away. That whole notion of gamer entitlement is stuck. And it isn't going away. You know, I think that ultimately what it's going to come down to is you are going to see some uprising in gaming, which I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that gamers are ever going to, ever, in any real way, push back in a really strong manner against the press, against, and I know that people will credit, GamerGate wasn't enough, obviously. It should be obvious to anyone. You'll never really see anything change in gaming unless there is either a significant uprising that has money attached to it. I mean, like it's something that would be akin to something political in terms of organizing, or a consumer group that would come about somehow and would be vicious and ruthless and have serious money backing it, that ultimately could go to the corporations and say the minute the press slanders your customers or slanders you or slanders your games as misogynist or sexist or homophobic or what have you, we'll come down on them like a fucking ton of bricks. And we have, you know, this list of supporters that will back us, and we can just go after whoever is slandering you or defaming you as hard as fucking possible. And, you know, we'll reward you with positive coverage ourselves. You know, you can get sponsorship on our part. You know, we'll put your game on a list of approved games that we enjoy and we like. If you don't do any stupid bullshit like bad business practices or the rest, it's a whole separate issue, let me tell you. But gaming needs consumer groups. We need some sort of organizations to push back on companies when they're doing all the DLC shit, when they're doing all the pre-order shit. But we also need a consumer group for just gamers in general to push back on perceptions of gamers. Like, we need representatives to go talk to the press that do it professionally, that can show up on CNN, Fox News, wherever you know they need to go to dispel the poor reputation of gamers and not do so in a apologetic or humble or meek tone. I mean aggressive, in taking on these false perceptions, these slanderous perceptions of you and I. And so, you know, I don't think anything will change until that happens. I honestly don't. I don't think that anything real will come about in gaming in terms of shifting the tide against the ideologues, against the press, even against the corporations, which is way, way, way in the background. You know, those of you that might care about, like, the bad business practices, the DLC, all that shit, right? You understand what I'm talking about. We're never changing that until we can take on the journos, until we can take on the perception of gamers. We're never getting to the corporations until we can get to the journos, until we can force them to... If we're never going to get to objectivity, they don't want to care about objectivity, then neutrality. Because if they're not willing to at least give us that, then they haven't been beaten down enough. But I'm going to have to go for now. I appreciate your time. Appreciate you listening. Subscribe, all that bullshit. Thanks. What's up?